Hi again. I'd like to continue the discussion of Parse. And, in the last few videos, we've been building this app here that, lets you log in, sign up a new user account, create posts. And what I'd like to do now is I'd like to add the ability to upload files. Okay? So let's give that a try. So Parse handles your file uploads for you, and I think you can pretty much load up just about any kind of file. They do have a limit of 10 megabytes, though. So the files can't be larger than 10 megabytes, but they can be images, audio, video. In this example, I'm going to set up a file upload that'll upload, pretty much any kind of file, but I'm expecting it to be an image file because I'm going to display the file as an image inside the post. Okay? We'll probably do the add the image to the post in another video, but we'll just do the file upload here. So what we need first is an input here that will accept a file. So this is our form that lets you create a new post. And I'm going to go visit my HTML here and find that post form. Here it is, right? And there we go. And then I've got my input for the title and input for the content. And then I think I'll put a input here for the file. I'll give this an ID. I'll call it post file and set the type to file. Okay, that was pretty easy, right? This input file is, it's pretty easy to use here. In JavaScript, it's a little weird because you use it a little bit differently than the other elements. But anyway, we'll save that. And then I'm going to scroll to the bottom here. And I have, let me move that over, right? And I have this get post. That's not the one I want. I want this one down at the bottom here that is post form submit, and here's where we collect the data from the post form and we create a new post and then save the post to the database, right? So what I want to do is I want to add an extra step in here that collects the file from the file input and uploads it. And this is going to turn this into sort of a two-step process, because what I need to do is I need to upload the file to the database first, wait for that to either produce a success or a failure, and if it's successful, what I need to do is I need to get the reference to the file and then add it to my post table as a pointer to the file, okay? So, we don't just load the data for the file into the field. We really couldn't store it. So Parse secretly, it won't show you files here. What it does is it secretly keeps track of all the files in the background, and then it'll just create a pointer that looks just like these. But the pointer, instead of leading to another database record, will lead directly to your file, right? Okay, so you'll see how this works in a moment, okay? And, we could create a new file column here. So if I wanted, I could click, plus, and I could say type is file, and then, call this file or something, right? Now, I'm not going to do that. You could do that, and then we could use this column here, but I think what I'll do is I'll just have Parse create the column for me when I set up my JavaScript, okay? So the JavaScript will define the column, and Parse will pick up on that and create it. Okay, so where are we here? So we've got the title, content, and user, and we've created this new post. So what I want to do is I want to add, post.setFile, right? And then assign it the file. But the thing is, I need to get the ID for the file, which means I have to upload it to Parse first. So let's do that. Let's, get file from form input. Okay. So our first step here is to get the file element. So the file element is the the form field in our JavaScript. I mean in our HTML, right? Okay, we're just getting it here with JavaScript, which I think was post file. Okay, and this is a little weird since you can have input fields that select more than one file. I think we need the array here to get the the first one, right? Because there might be more than one, right? So we've just got the one, and I've got it set up to only upload with a single file. So we can just say array bracket 0, and that'll get us the first element. So next, we want to get the file path. So the file path is the value in the field. Okay. So I'll just say postfile.val, and that looks pretty normal, right? Okay, and this doesn't actually give us the file; it gives us, the path to the file. Okay, which is a little weird. It's sort of a local path on your computer, and so we're going to have to take that apart to get the file name out of it. So we'll say file name equals, file path dot split, and then we want to split on the slash. But if we want to put a slash into the quotation marks, we got to backslash it with the backslash. Okay, and then this will split. Like split is going to split the file name into an array, and what I want is the last item on the array, because that's going to be the file name. So I'll say pop, and that will get me the last item. Okay. Don't worry if you don't get this part exactly. We can just use this and it'll work. But you could go into this later, right? And we could talk about that. But this doesn't really have anything to do with Parse. It's just how the browser and JavaScript deal with the file input. Okay, so if we've got something here, then we've got a file to upload. But if there's nothing here, we want to know that there isn't a file to upload. And so if there isn't a file to upload, then we can just go ahead and create a new post without a file. Okay, so let's check. Let's say if, we'll write an if statement, and if the file element dot files dot length, oops, I misspelled that, right? If it's greater than 0, then we have a file to upload. Okay? So if there's a file to upload, then we need to get the file that we're going to upload. Okay? So now we're getting directly to the file, right? So what do I want to do here? .files. And our form only allows for one file, so we're gonna get just the first file. So it's files, file element, files, item 0. Okay, so this file element is the element with the files in it that you might upload, and then files is an array of files that input element might upload, and then this is going to give us just the first item in the array. And since our file input only allows one item, then we can just get the first one and we're done. Okay, so then what are we going to do? We're going to make a new parse file. Okay, so this is kind of like our new post up here, except this is going to be a new parse object. That's a parse file object. Okay, so when we create a parse file, it's a little bit different. Oops, I got to put the equal sign there, right? So when we create a parse file, it's going to be a little bit different than creating a new parse object. Okay, when we create a new parse object, we just say what kind of object we're going to create, and then we can, set properties on it. So we just say new post object and then set properties. There aren't different kinds of file objects. There's just one kind of file object. So we just, when we're creating a file, we just say new parse file. The thing is, when we create the file, though, we got to give it a file name and a file to upload. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put the file name here, and we'll put the file over here. Okay, now why is this, right? Well, when we upload files, if we just uploaded them with the original name, you might upload 2 files or more with the same name, and or you might upload one file called picture.jpg, and someone else might upload a file with the name picture.jpg, and if they got uploaded to the same place, one would overwrite the other. So behind the scenes, Parse gives every file a unique file name, different from the original name, and then it saves the original name in the database, so you can always access the original name also. Now this is actually kind of a cool thing. If you were doing this on your own, you'd have to figure out how this worked. I mean, you might make a mistake and just start saving the files with the original file name and then realize they were getting overwritten, and then you'd have to work out a system for it. But they've already done it for us, so that's really pretty cool, right? So anyway, so here's our file. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to save the file. So essentially, we just did this with our new parse file, and now we're going to do the step here where we say new file.save. Okay, so I'll say new file save, and when we save the file, we can do the same thing we did with the regular parse objects. Function, success, and error, oops. We got our error function here, right? And I think if it's an error, I think you can put this. I should check that one. This one I'm not so sure, but I think if it's an error, it gives you the file back, and then it gives you the error here. Otherwise, this first one is the error message, but I think it's like this. I should check that against their documentation. Anyway, I'm going to do it this way for now. And for some reason, my phone is bleeping at me right now. Okay, let me put the phone away there. Okay, so anyway, so there we go. Maybe I'll move this down here. Let me actually fix that. I want it to look like this. And that. There we go, right? So here we go. So we got a new file.save. And then on a success, we're going to do something here. And on an error, we're going to print an error message. How about console log? And then we'll say, file save error.message. Okay? And then if it's successful, we can, put some code right there. Okay, so remember at the if statement here, we've got a file to upload. Else down here, there is no file to upload. Okay? And then down here, I've got the original code that lets us upload a file. Okay? So here's our code here. If we've got a file, if the length of files in our file list is greater than 0, in which case we're going to create a new file and save that file. Okay, so if we don't have a file, then we just want to go ahead and save our new post that we've created. So I'm going to cut this. Make sure we don't get this last little curly bracket parentheses semicolon, because that goes with the jQuery call up here, right? So I'm going to grab this whole block right here, because that all goes together, and then I'm going to put it inside of the bottom of this if statement. So in the else right here, from this to here, and you can see like when I'm in brackets, those get highlighted when I put the cursor next to the matching one, right? So I'll put this in here, and then we'll upload our file, our post, if there's no file attached to it. Now the reason we need to do this next step here in this order is because we're going to add the file after it's been uploaded, because at that point we'll have a reference to it that we can upload to the database, right? You know, at this point, if we tried to save the new post here, we wouldn't have the file reference to add to that post, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to upload the file first with new file save, and then after it's saved, then we're going to add it to the post, right? And then set the post or save the post, okay? So so the way this is going to work is Parse supports a little feature that when you have a parse function, you can add a then function, right? Which is sort of a function that follows, you know? So what we want to do is we want to defer some action until after another action is complete. And the way that it works is we've got new file save, and that begins here, and you can see that this is highlighted, and then the matching one is highlighted here. And if I want something to happen afterwards, I can put a then on the end, okay? Right, so you know, it's like new save, then, you know, do something else, right? And then is always a function, right? So we put a function here, and this function can be executed, you know, after we save the file, or, you know, save the file, then, you know, execute this other function. Okay, let that sink in for a little bit there, right? Okay, so just think about that, right? And then what's going to happen here is this then function is actually going to get a property, which is the new file, okay? So I'll put a name here. I'll just say, you know, how about the file, right? And so if we have a file, right, you know, if we've gotten to here, then we have the file, and this is the file with any changes. You know, it's got the ID number. That's really what we need, right, in it, right? So then what we can do is we can add that to our post. So, you know, this post variable here still exists inside all of this stuff. This is all inside the same function. So we can access that in here. And what we'll do is we'll say new post dot set, and we'll just say file because this will be our column name. And then I want to set it to the file like this, right? And now we've set that, and then we'll save it, right? So what I want to do is I want to do the same code here. You know what? I'll just even copy this block. You know, or I'll just type it again, right? So I'll say new post dot save, and then we'll do success is a function, comma, error colon is another function, and then we'll format this text a little bit here. Something like that, right? And then if we had an error message here, I think that's what we got, right? And then I'll just console log. I haven't really been logging much on the successes, because if it's successful, then it just worked. But you know, I always log the errors, right? So we'll go in here. We'll say let's do post save with file error colon, and then we'll just put error dot message on the end. Okay. So I know that was kind of a long one, but I think that there we go. I think we're all done there. Let's give it a quick test. So I'm going to go to my thing and to my site, and I always have the console open, right? Because I want to see any JavaScript errors if they're there, and then I want to just go and address them, right? So let's save this, and I'll refresh it, and then there's our file upload, right? Let's give it a try. So I'll say hello, this is a file, and then I'll say uploading a file to Parse, okay? And then I'll choose a file, And I'll grab this file here, open it, and then I'll click submit. Oh, might have worked. I don't know. Let's test it out. So no errors, right? So let's go to Parse here. And then remember, that should create a new field here. Let's refresh. I'll have to refresh this whole window. If I just hit the refresh button, it won't add a new column here. Okay, if there is, even if we created one, it usually doesn't show up. So what I do is I just do a Command R, or refresh from the thing up here, right? Or you can just hit return in the address bar. So let's see here. Let's look over. Oh, look. There we go. So there's our new file column, and it's got the file in it. Let me drag this over here next to user, right? And so files in Parse in the database are going to look like this. They're going to look like a pointer to an object, but where the user object points to an item in the user table, the file object here points to the actual file that you uploaded. Right? Oh, there we go. So there's the file, right? Let's close that. If you want, if you have, posts, or you have like records in a table, objects, and they're supposed to point to a file, if you have a column that is a type file, you can actually just click in here. You double click, and then it says upload file, and when you click it, then it'll take you to the desktop and ask you to upload a file. So you can upload files this way. So if you're in Parse and you want to repair your database or update a database, or set a file here manually, you can do it this way. Just double click, click upload file, and then I'll grab another file here, right? So I can upload those guys. So anyway, so that looks like it's all working just fine there. Okay. Now my files aren't going to show up here yet. Like you'll see this, hello, this is a file right here, and I did upload a file to this. It doesn't show here, but I'll do another video because this one's getting pretty long. So I'll do another video where we actually display the file next to the post. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope that's helpful for everybody.